"Hey, darlings, do you want some coffee?" asked Vika. "No, I'm in a hurry. I'm at work for breakfast," answered Kirill. Vika looked at her husband carefully. He had already refused to have breakfast at home for a long time. She didn't know what it was connected with. "And I made you a delicious breakfast. Your favorite aladies. You love them very much. Maybe I should bring them to you for work?" Vika smiled, expecting her husband to be pleased with her care. But her expectations were not met. Kirill sighed in frustration. "What are you thinking? I didn't bring breakfast boxes to work. Am I some kind of a schoolboy? Do you want them to laugh at me? Of course, I understand that you don't even think about it, but I advise you to be a little smarter. I have already come out of that age when my mother made me breakfast at school, and in general, I have not loved Aladdin for a long time. This is a past experience. We have a great dining room where you can order any dish from healthy food, and there is nothing useful in the kitchen, and I advise you not to lie on them. Otherwise, there will be problems with the figure even more than now." Vika looked at herself confusedly, looking from all sides. What's wrong with her figure? She doesn't seem to be fat. Kirill took his room bag, where he put important papers and documents. He quickly looked at himself in the mirror, carefully looking at each detail of his clothes. Having smoothed out the missing folds on his pants, damn it, how satisfied he was with himself. Kirill grabbed his bag, phone and keys from his car. Not even looking at his wife, he frantically said goodbye to her. "That's it. I'm going to rush. Don't wait for me too early today. We have a meeting. The boss will make everyone happy, and I, as the most responsible and ideal employee, will have to pacify him." And Kirill left. Vika was standing near the window. She looked out the window, watching her husband with a look, and spread her fingers around the cup. Her gaze froze. Her husband had already left, and she continued to look at one point. She was still thinking about what Kirill had said. Does she have any problems with her figure? Well, yes, she's not as old as she was in her youth. But she's not even 20 years old. Okay, she's not old yet. She's only 38 years old. But we need to keep in mind that she doesn't have the same active lifestyle as before. She's a housewife. She sits at home, cooks, cleans, suffers from unemployment. And what? She doesn't look like other women. She doesn't need to spend endless hours in beauty salons to feel confident. She only needs the procedures she does at home. Vika was shocked by a sharp phone call. She picked up the phone and said, "Hello?" But she was silent in response. They were silent again. Vika began to lose patience. Who is fooling around? Who doesn't like it? If you call again, I will write a police report. And you'll be fired anyway. And she was being told off. Vika turned off her phone and knocked on the table with a phone. She was tired of it. What do they want? She was talking about her husband's phone calls, but he was waving. Don't pay attention. There are a lot of fools in the world. Maybe someone called from work. They're joking. I have several competitors who would like to have the same reputation as me and take my place. But for this, you need to work for years, not taking Vika's head. Kirill's reputation was long-term. Medicine is not the most profitable business at the beginning of the journey. And then, how lucky. Kirill started with a healthcare job. During his university studies, he worked nights in the emergency department. The maid was not the best, but the guy was purposeful. Then he was admitted to the med school. Well, after graduation, he was already a doctor. But he didn't like working in such a place. The salary is small, but the work is high, and there is no free time and no development. In the hospital, Kirill met a patient who later became his wife. It was Vika. The girl fell in love with a young surgeon, and he also fell in love with her. They got married quickly, and then Kirill quit the hospital and they moved to another city. And the hard path of the Dr. Kirill Petrovich began. He changed several jobs. He didn't like them anywhere. A surgeon is a promising profession, but only if you work in the right place. And Kirill didn't find this right place at all. There was always not enough money in the family, and there was no talk about children. Kirill got angry when Vika started talking about it. What children, Vikas? Do you understand what you're saying? We barely end up with the ends. And if the child appears, you will go on a maternity leave. And what will we do? I can't work 24 hours a day. Still, a person needs rest, you know? And I'm not a robot to do operations without a break. And please, don't talk about the child anymore. You're just angry and upset with me. I'm not feeling very good at heart, especially you with your suggestions. Ivica didn't start these conversations anymore. The spouses were waiting for the best times. Vika supported her husband as best she could, and Kirill was grateful to her for that. Not every woman will share her grief and loss with her husband, but Vika did it out of love for her husband. Shouldn't a wife do that? The situation changed about 5 years ago. At some conference in another city, where Kirill was sent on a business trip, he met a famous surgeon all over the country. He was not acquainted with him, but Kirill wasn't afraid to try his luck. He wanted to catch the luck by the tail. He came up to him and introduced himself. The bold young doctor liked the professor. Kirill reminded him of his youth. The professor also had to dig the ground with his hands, seeking authority and high position in the medical community. And he suggested that he move to Moscow, where the professor could find him a good place. Kirill was satisfied with this idea. Vika couldn't even say anything. Her husband didn't ask her opinion. She quit her job, and they just moved to Moscow. And the professor found a place for him at his friend's, in an expensive and famous clinic. So, Kirill Petrovich began to work in a very prestigious place. And then the money in the family flowed into the river. From the very beginning, Kirill Petrovich won the trust of the owner of the clinic, Armen Okapovich. The young surgeon was a great operating doctor. He told about his experience in various hospitals, where Kirill had to operate one after another. He gained experience and gained valuable experience. There were very few such doctors in the city. Everyone tried to get into prestigious places right after the institute, and Kirill saw a lot of his practice, and now he had any surgery on his shoulder. Very quickly, Kirill and Vika became rich. They bought a good mansion. They had good cars. Vika could no longer work. Kirill wanted her to stay at home. She couldn't resist. She didn't feel very comfortable in Moscow. This big city scared her. She was even more afraid to work. Who is she here? Another provincial woman trying to get into people's lives? What was her husband doing, who quickly got used to the big city, enjoying every day? He was in his own environment. Vika shook her head, awoken from her memories. What am I? Like an old woman, sitting, grumbling. I need to do my business. Although what business is there if she has nothing to do? She does not need to clean. They are served a week's worth of cleaning service. They don't need to cook either. Their husband doesn't eat much at home. He spends more and more time at work. He comes home late. If he was going to eat at home, he ordered food delivery from a restaurant. And Vika didn't even have to think about creating a menu. Although at the time when they lived poor, Vika remembered warmth. She often shuddered. Her husband admired her culinary skills. She was always preparing breakfast for him, and her husband never refused to eat. And now? Did she really want that? He's been acting strange lately. Vika even suspected that he had another woman, but it didn't smell like someone else's. He didn't call her by her name. Most likely, it was the fruit of her sick imagination. And then the phone rang again. Vika jumped out of surprise. What would I do with them? But this time it was her friend, whom they hadn't seen in a long time. Tatiana used to work in the beauty salon, where Vika went to get her manicure. And then she got lucky. She married a man she had taken care of. And after that she stopped working. But Vika and they remained good friends. They talked regularly. Tanya invited her to dinner in the evening, but Vika didn't know when Kirill would come. And after talking to her friend, the woman decided to call her husband. He will hardly pick up the phone. and Vika called him directly to his office. If he is free, he will answer. But he didn't answer the phone, but some girl.
I'm listening.
Hello, please call Kirill Petrovich to the phone. Vika did not expect what would happen next. Oh my God. How do you all recognize his number? Who gives it to you? How many times can I tell everyone that this is his work number for communication with employees, not for patients? You won't get anything. You still won't be able to get a free consultation on the phone. To do this, you need to sign up for a clinic appointment. I need to tell Armin to take care of this issue. Vika hurried. Who is this girl? Why does she read her on the phone without even knowing the person who called? I'm sorry, I didn't know that I can't call this number. But the thing is, this number was given to me by my husband, and he said that I could call it any time. I'm Kirill Petrovich's wife. An awkward pause was hung, and then the girl spoke in a different voice. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you. I didn't know it was you. I'm sorry, Kirill. Kirill Petrovich is busy. I'll tell him you called. He'll call you back. And the girl put down the phone. Vika thoughtfully bit her lip. It's strange. What kind of behavior did this strange girl have? And what did she do in her husband's office? And why was she talking so rudely? If she is one of the clinic employees, then she behaves in a completely inappropriate way. And his assistant could not answer like that. However, then Vika thought, and why did this strange girl call the clinic owner by name? And if she was in her husband's office, what was she doing there in his absence? Vika realized that the previous suspicions of the betrayal were coming back again. How can she check everything? I still need to meet with Tanya, or I'll go crazy with these thoughts alone. Vika decided to leave the thought of her husband's possible lover for now and called her friends. In the evening, she will talk to Tanya. Maybe she will advise her something, or at least will calm her down. In the evening, Vika drove up to the restaurant by taxi. Tanya was already sitting at the table, waiting for her. The friend lost even more weight. Now she looks like a photo model with her tall height. No one would have said that this girl used to work as a manicure master. Now Tanya looks gorgeous. She quickly got used to good life, learned to use all the charms of rich life. However, this woman was very smart and observant. She could even find a way out of the most terrible situation. When Tatiana saw Vika, she suddenly jumped off the couch and threw herself on her neck. Vika, I missed you so much, darling. I'm so glad to see you. You can't even imagine. Ready to squeeze you to death. I hope you're not driving. I have big plans for tonight. Her wide smile turned into a strict grimace. Vika laughed. Yes, I'm without a car. I came by taxi. I want to relax today too. Tanya smiled again and clasped her hands tightly. That's wonderful. Everything goes according to plan. I especially like you today. Come on, sit down and come closer to me. By the way, remind me to tell the restaurant administrators that the sofas here are just wonderful. It's been so comfortable for me for a long time, and this corner especially looked at me. There is no one near us. No one will stop us from having fun and gossiping. And Tanya giggled loudly. Vika could not hold back her smile while looking at her energetic friend. Vika was not like that. Although the age difference was insignificant, only 4 years. Tanya was 34 years old. But in terms of energy, Vika was much weaker. Apparently, this should be initially embedded in a person. It was strange that such different women found common language and befriended each other. But it was so. Tanya was all lit up. She had so many emotions that she seemed like a young girl. Vika was restrained, like an ordinary mature woman. An hour and a half flew by unnoticed. The woman had dinner or drank 2 glasses of wine. Her active life was interesting. Vika listened to her with pleasure. Tanya beautifully described one or another trip in such a way that Vika clearly represented each detail. When the stream of stories was over, Tanya looked closely at her friend and quietly, not necessarily for her, said, I understand that you yourself will not start talking, but I see everything. Something is wrong with you. So tell me better. I won't leave you alone. Let's not waste time. Vika blushed, hoping Tanya wouldn't notice. What are you talking about? Oh, don't lie to me. You know how many years I've worked with people. I can easily tell what's on a person's mind. What's wrong with you? Are you sick? Depression? Husband? Vika realized that Tanya was still digging to the truth. It's better to ask her advice right away. Husband, something is wrong between us. Just don't think that I'm crazy. There is no evidence, but I feel it. My sense of humor never deceives me, no matter how sad it sounds. It seems to me that he has another woman, but these are only suspicions that are not reinforced by anything. Tanya listened to her friend. Vika spoke for a long time without pause. About the clinic, his late home visits, silent calls, his neglectful attitude. When she spoke out, it became easier for her. You know, I now understand that all this is stupid. I invent all this from nothing. I need to do something. Then I won't have time to look for evidence of what is not really there. I'm just so stupid. But Tanya didn't laugh and support her friend as Vika expected. She was very serious. She said it without a shadow of a smile. Why do you think it's all a fiction? You know, I believe in your intuition. How much I know you. She has never let you down. It won't be enough for the whole evening to list all the moments. So, dear, I advise you to think about it. And it's easy enough to solve the problem with evidence of betrayal or loyalty. It's not appropriate to follow a person. There are special people in the Vicus. They will do all the work clearly and quickly. It's not cheap pleasure, but very expensive. But it's worth it, believe me. I have a good detective contact who could do your business. I'll give it to you if you decide to go all the way. Vika bit her lip. Alcohol made Tanya's offer tempting. But how could Vika do that to her husband? They lived so many years, trusted each other, were together, in grief and joy. If she will follow her husband, then the end of trust. But she was proud that they were honest with each other. I need to breathe some fresh air. I'll be back soon. Vika got up and headed out of the restaurant. Her head was slightly spinning. She needed fresh air. She will soon be back to normal. Tanya didn't go after her friend. She gave her a chance to be alone. Vika stood outside for about 5 minutes. It was already dark. Her consciousness cleared up a bit, and she calmed down. Only she was going to go to the restaurant, as someone called her. Vika.
Vika.
Is that you? Vika shivered and turned around. The voice was so familiar, and she looked closely at the man standing in front of her. No, that can't be. Could it be?
Roma.
Vika was amazed. The man in front of her smiled broadly and approached her closely. You recognized me. And Roma hugged Vika tightly and circled her. Vika was scared and laughed, and then laughed. She clung to the man's shoulder and closed her eyes. For a moment, immersed in the memories. Roma was her school love. They were in love with each other in the 10th and 11th grade. And then their paths parted. For 2 years, such strong feelings. The whole school knew about their romance. Everyone was sure that this was real love, and they would never part. The guys themselves were building plans for the future, planning to be together until the end of life. Vika and Roma's parents laughed at the graduation party that they would soon have to play the wedding. Everything was great, but their plans were ruined when Roma did not go to college, and he was sent to the army. After the army, he did not return to the city. His parents decided to leave for abroad. They took their sons and disappeared. The connection between lovers disappeared. Vika suffered for several months. Then she realized that life goes on, and she needs to go on without Rome, without memories, without suffering. And then she met her husband, and the past love simply forgot about itself. Vika never met Rome again. Life scattered them in different directions. This unexpected meeting shook Vika something deep in her soul. Her heart beat so hard that it seemed to her as if it was right in her head. The head was spinning from the drunk alcohol and the sudden influx of feelings. She opened her eyes and prayed, "Roma, let me go. My head is spinning already. No, I can't let you go. It's just incredible. How did it happen that we met in a city where I was just passing by? Vicus, is this fate? No, I just won't let you go. You must have dinner with me." "Oh no, I'm here with my friend, and I already had dinner, and I need to go home. My husband will be worried." Roma immediately let her go. Vika's words about her husband cut him off, and he immediately took himself in his hands. "My husband means, well, okay, if you're busy now. Vika, I really want to talk to you. Please, let's meet tomorrow. I beg you." Vika wanted to answer with refusal, but there was still a haze in her head, and she realized that she really wanted to talk to Roma. After all, it won't be a date, right? It will be just a meeting with a good friend of the youth, and nothing more. And she agreed. They exchanged the phones and agreed to meet the next day. And Vika returned to the table with her friend. The conversation did not stick anymore because Vika was wailing in the clouds, remembering the meeting with Roma. Soon the women left home. When Vika was leaving by taxi, Tanya yelled at her, "Think about the detective. If anything, you can count on me." The next day, Vika woke up late. Her husband was no longer home. When she returned from the restaurant the day before, he was still not home. Vika did not wait for him and went to sleep. At night she heard him coming, but then fell asleep again. And in the morning he had already frozen. Vika realized that she shouldn't have gotten up so early to see him off. He doesn't need that at all. She wrote a text message to Kirill that she was meeting her friend in the evening. He read the message, but didn't reply.
Vika sighed.
"Well, why answer if you don't care?" Oh well. The day went unnoticed. Vika changed outfits several times, trying to pick the right one. She didn't know what to do with her hair. Then she thought that she was behaving like she was going to a date. "Vika, stop. Why are you screwing yourself up?" she said to herself. In the end, she didn't have time to change clothes. She was late. When she was driving in a taxi, it seemed to her that there were traffic jams around. The cars were barely driving, and she thought that she was late. But she arrived 15 minutes earlier. However, Roma was already sitting at the table. Apparently, he was also afraid to be late, so he arrived earlier. When Vika came to the table, Roma got up to hug her. Today Vika was very tense. She didn't know what would be the dinner. They sat down and made an order. Then they talked about that and that. Vika told that she was married, that her husband is a very respected doctor in a prestigious clinic. Roma said that he was never married. In these words, he looked Vika in the eyes closely, and she was embarrassed by this look. He seemed to tell her that she was the reason for his loneliness. When they drank a glass of wine, Vika relaxed a little. They remembered their youth, school, laughed at the curious events. And Vika was so good as if she had returned home after a long absence. She remembered that she was always so good and calm next to Roma. And then an awkward pause appeared. Roma looked at Vika, and she thoughtfully wiped the glass leg. "You never thought how our life would have turned out if we hadn't broken up." Suddenly, Roma asked her. Vika was shocked and embarrassed. "What can you think about? We didn't succeed. Why would we guess what could not have happened? But we planned so much. We didn't break up because of our own fault. Everything had to be different. I've been thinking about it all my life, Vika. I don't believe you didn't think about it." Vika looked aside. Yes, she thought. Of course, she was afraid to admit it to him. She loved him too much to just forget him. When she met Kirill, new feelings clashed with her head, and love for Romeo lay at the bottom of her soul, and she didn't remember him for a while. But with each passing year, she was increasingly thinking that she was living life not according to her script, that something else had been prepared for her. But she turned away from the path and now had to live not her own life. The more often she thought about it, the stronger she tried to get rid of these thoughts. She chose her husband herself. She married at her own will. Did she want this? Lately, her dissatisfaction with family life, suspicions about the betrayal of her husband, have done their job. She realized that something had to be changed, and that she had to start with finding evidence of Kirill's infidelity, or his loyalty. If he is pure in front of her, then she made the right choice by marrying him. And if he cheats on her, then she doesn't need him anymore. Vika looked at Roma and sighed. Roma, you're right. Everything could have been different, but everything happened the way it happened. And there's nothing to guess. I was happy to see you, but you're leaving soon. You're just a pleasant memory. I'm glad I met you, remembered the youth, but it's all in the past. We remembered, and then we'll forget again. Roma slightly faded, and then whispered, I don't want to forget anything. Vika, don't you understand that I never forgot you? I've always loved you. You're the only one in the world for me. I didn't love anyone like that. I didn't get married because I always dreamed about you. You've always been in my thoughts. And I think we met not just like that. Fate brought us together again. Only now I won't miss my chance. Vika was shocked when she looked at Roma. Her heart was beating like a hammer on the table. She just shook her head and quietly said, Roma, I'm married. That's all said. I don't know what else to tell you. Vika, please think about my words. I feel that you are not all smooth in life. You have a face of a woman who is unhappy. By your conversations, I realize that this is not due to the lack of money or health problems. You are unhappy because they do not hear you. They do not understand. I can make you happy. I can take you with me. I will always be there for you. I will never let you go if you go with me. I love you. Listen, I really love you very much. Roma took Vika by the hand and squeezed her, and she just looked at him, and tears froze in her eyes. Oh, how to endure this? It's too late, Roma. It's too late. I can't leave my husband. I'm back to him. We've gone through too much together. We trust each other. I can't just leave like that just because you called me. I'm not like that, Roma. You know that. Yes, I know that you are not like that. I love you too much to make you do something against your will. I don't need it. You should want it yourself. I beg you, think about my words. I will leave you all the phone numbers that I have. Wherever I am, in any city or country, I will definitely answer one of them. Please, if you suddenly change your mind, and I will come to take you from the other side of the earth. Vika swallowed her tears. Did it really happen to her? When Vika was driving home in a taxi, she was thinking not about Roma, but about her husband. She broke up with Roma on a touching note. He continued to assure her that she could change her life if she wanted to. But Vika did not want to destroy her current life, family relations, marriage. Only if her husband had not destroyed everything himself. And for this she must find out everything herself, not hoping for a chance. When Vika came to the house, she dialed Tanya's number. Hello. Listen, I thought about your offer. Give me the phone number of the person you talked to. I'll still call him. I want to know everything. I'm tired of living in the unknown. She called the detective the next day. They agreed to meet. And in a day Vika was sitting in his office. She barely found the right place. There was no sign on the door. The building itself is unnoticeable, as if the detective is hiding his location. Only people who know can find him. Most likely, this person only worked for acquaintance. Otherwise, how to explain that he doesn't even advertise his services? Vika was sitting on a regular chair. She was clamped because she was very uncomfortable in this place. Opposite her, the detective was sitting at the table. There was nothing on his table except a thin black folder and a pen. Tanya said his name was Georgie. However, Vika was shy to call him by name. It was nice to meet Georgie. Excuse me, what is your name? She asked carefully.
Georgi, just Georgi.
After a short pause, the detective replied. He continued to carefully examine his potential client. Usually, If he did not like the client, he immediately refused to work on his services, referring to his busyness. Vika was one of the categories of people he mostly served. She didn't look like a rich woman looking for her son or daughter who ran away from home. And she didn't look like a cheated wife either. She was too modest and cramped. It's hard to get the right information from such people. And you won't get much money either. He didn't like working with such people. Rich clients attracted him more. However, Tatiana volunteered for her friend. She told the detective that the woman was able to pay the necessary amount without any problems. But she needed professional help, so George agreed to meet Vika. And when he saw her, he was amazed to discover that she looked very much like his late sister. Even before starting talking to Vika, he already knew that he would help her remember his sister and wouldn't even take money from her. Well, or take it purely symbolically. Judging by the woman sitting in front of him, she will not agree for him to work for free. Well, I'm listening, he seriously said. Vika was a little confused. She did not know where to start such talks, how to ask for services, or immediately start discussing payments. Sorry, I don't know where to start, she said uncertainly. Yes, it's clear that she's the first time she's been approached for such services. She'll have to help her, otherwise she'll run away from him without getting the necessary help. And he's a little more polite, he said to her. Start with why you need a detective service, and then we'll figure out the whole thing. I need to know if my husband is cheating on me or not. Vika quickly spoke until she was bold enough to leave her. Well, the reason is quite banal. Georgie barely smiled. No matter what happens in the world, women always want to know that they are the only men in life. Great. That's my part. Then tell me, why do you suspect him of this, if there are any evidences? And then we'll move on to the personality. Let's write down everything we need. Personal data, place and hours of work, what car he drives, when he leaves home and comes home. I need to know everything. Vika took a deep breath and began to talk. She talked for a long time without stopping. Georgie didn't look at her. He just recorded everything. Vika talked for so long that her mouth dried up. She shut up for a moment, trying not to cough. And then Georgie got a graphene from somewhere with water and a glass from below. He moved him to Vika. She poured water for herself, drank it, thanked the detective. Vika thought that everything turned out to be not so scary, and she almost calmed down. When she finished speaking, she kept silent, waiting for questions from the detective. But then in a minute, he slammed the folder with his notes and said, Great, I don't even have any questions left for you. You've laid out everything on the shelves. You are very observant. You didn't miss a single detail. You told me exactly how much you need and nothing extra. Vika smiled. Then we can say goodbye for a while. I think I won't have a hard time finding out everything that interests you. I have your phone number. Saved. I'll call you in 2 weeks. What about the payment? We have to agree on the payment. George smiled slightly. I'll take a small advance from you. The rest after the end of our cooperation. The detective wrote something in a small notebook. She was surprised when she looked at the paper. So little? I was told that your services are not cheap. I thought that even the advance I would have to pay more. No, that's enough. And the rest of the payment is not very big either. The cost of my services depends on the complexity of the work. The inspection does not include the list of complex works. Therefore, the payment is appropriate. Moreover, you have given me all the information. I do not need to spend time on the search. Well, I say goodbye to you. The detective got up, showing that the meeting was over. Vika said goodbye to him and left the office. When she went out, she sighed with relief. It was so stuffy in the office. All the windows were blindly closed, as if the detective didn't want even a word to fly out of that room. Vika got into the car and got all dirty. With all these problems and thoughts, she completely forgot about the birthday of her husband, who will be on this Saturday. How could she forget? What a shame. Vika shook her head and started the engine. It's strange, But Kirill came home early today. Or rather, not early, but on time. When Vika came back, he was already at home. Vika was surprised and raised her eyebrows. Wow, you're early today. I hope nothing happened. Kirill, looking at his wife, grumbling. What do you mean? Something must have happened if I came home on time? No, nothing special happened. Just one surgery was canceled. Why was it canceled? Asked Vika. Kirill muttered with some irritation. The patient has some complications. The surgery cannot be done yet. It was postponed for a while until the patient recovered. What are the complications? Vika asked again. Kirill already shouted indignantly. Something is wrong with his questions. You don't understand anything in medicine. Why would I tell you something you don't understand? What kind of interrogation is this? Vika? You're starting to annoy me. Vika was offended and bit her lower lip. And you used to talk to me. You shared, talked, told me. What has changed now? Have I really become more stupid? Or can't I ask you anything else? Or are you doing something illegal? I don't understand, Kirill. My husband calmed down and tried to speak more gently. What are you doing? Of course you didn't become more stupid. And I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm just very tired, you know? I work almost without a day off. I don't have much free time. I don't even want to talk when I come home. And you're asking a million questions. Well, not a million, but just a few. And we're still a family. We probably need to talk at least sometimes. What do you think? Kirill was silent. Vika tried to calm down. Okay, don't start now. It's not necessary now. She needs to solve another problem, a more global one. I understand you don't want to talk, you're tired and all that, but I need to know something, so you'll have to talk to me. You have a birthday on Saturday. Do you have any plans? Or we'll spend this day together. Kirill replied in a hurry. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I invited my colleague from the clinic. Armin can't come, but everyone else will. So we'll have a party on Saturday. When were you going to tell me about it? Friday evening? Or I would have known when all the guests came. Vika said. Calm down. Don't worry. I've taken care of everything. They will deliver food from the restaurant on Saturday. They will cover the table. You just have to find an assistant and hire a clinic. You don't need anything else. Vika looked at her husband. What's going on with him? Doesn't he look like himself? She talks so carelessly. And she didn't look good on her birthday. She was even a little confused that the holiday was not planned by her, but by the hostess of the house. Well, she needs to be patient. Soon she will find out everything. Soon she will understand if there is a serious reason for concern. Okay, let's go. How many people will be there? What should I prepare for? Yes, there are 15 to 20 people. Don't worry, we'll fit in. Thank God we have enough space. At this point their conversation ended. Vika didn't ask anything else, and Kirill didn't tell anything else. They went to sleep in complete silence. Kirill only wished her a good night. Vika also briefly answered the same. Wonderful family life. Vika decided to prepare for the holiday in a few days. Or rather, prepare herself. She went to the beauty salon. Her hair was tinted, slightly trimmed. She did a manicure with red lacquer. She even grew her eyelashes, although with a natural effect, but it was a progress. Tanya praised her when she saw her on the eve of Kirill's birthday. Well, my friend, you surprised me. I've never seen you so shiny. You surpassed yourself. Bravo. Now you have to pick up the dress. I have the dress. I bought it last year, but I never used it. I think it will suit my image. Tanya was satisfied and said, Well, my friend, are you happy with me? Tell me, did the detective call yet? No news? Vika was upset. No, there is no news yet. He must call in the middle of the next week. I'm a little worried, Tanya. What is waiting for me? In fact, Vika was very nervous. She hoped that the detective would not bring her bad news. And if he did, what then? Vika, this is life. You can handle it. But I think everything will be fine. and you are worried for nothing. Saturday came. Kirill was right. He arranged everything in the best way. Vika did not have to worry about anything. The preparation for the evening was very chaotic, but it was empty. The only moment that scared Vika was when she didn't know anyone from the people present. And in general, why did Kirill arrange a holiday at home? You could get together at the restaurant. Why did Kirill gather everyone at home? Everyone gathered. Champagne poured over the river. The tableware with snacks was covered. There was laughter around. Kirill introduced Vika to some guests. And then she chose a moment and jumped into the bedroom to transfer her spirit. Looking at herself in the mirror, Vika sighed. Yes, she thought that in this dress she would shine. But she just didn't know what outfits other guests would come in. Compared to the gorgeous dresses of other women, her dress was too simple and dull. Kirill didn't say anything about her appearance. However, his gaze carefully slipped on her face. And then he whispered, "What's wrong with your eyes?" Vika replied with indifference. She grew eyelashes. "What's wrong? Here's another one you've invented. You've never done this. Why did you hook them now? You don't like them. Take them away tomorrow. You look like a cheap doll from an antique store." Yes, not such compliments from a husband, Vika expected. She was offended, but she held back. She didn't say anything to her husband, just walked away with her shoulders. And now, standing in her bedroom, she wanted to cry. She wanted to tear off all her jewelry, take off her dress, blow up her hair, wipe off her makeup, and pull out those damn eyelashes. But she held back. The holiday didn't end, and Vika didn't want to be embarrassed in front of everyone. It was not enough for her to be discussed in the clinic later and called the surgeon's wife. Vika calmed down and left the bedroom. When she entered the hall, she saw another guest next to Kirill. She had never been here before. She probably only came here now. It was a young girl. She was so blinding that any woman present here was lost in front of her. The girl had black long hair. There was no hairstyle. Her hair just went down her shoulders and almost reached her waist. Apparently, not only Russian blood flowed into the girl, but also something else. Her smudged skin shone in the light. She was very thin, but with beautiful and lush forms. A deep cut on her chest indicated her best qualities. Vicky suspected that this quality was not quite natural. Her fluffy lips were covered with a transparent shine. She even mowed her lower lip during a conversation with Kirill. Then the girl fixed her hair by throwing her comb forward. And Vika almost went crazy. From behind, the dress was even more open than from the front. The back was completely open to the upper parts of the buttocks. It gave the impression that the girl was covered with poppy. It was incredible. Vika had never seen such an open dress on anyone before. It left no room for imagination and fantasy. Everything was open and accessible. It was only worth moving the brittle dress to the side, as the irreparable could be done. Kirill was interested in saying something to the girl, looking straight into her eyes. And the beauty laughed periodically, throwing her head or leaning forward. From this, her chest cut out and moved in different directions, opening her chest even more. Although much more. Vika was confused. Who is this? There were only colleagues of the husband. But this girl looked like a model, but not a doctor, or moreover a nurse. It's all weird. Then Kirill left the girl, smiling at her. Vika was waiting for this. She immediately approached her husband and asked, "Who is this girl?" Kirill pretended not to understand. "What girl?" "Don't pretend, Kirill. You know what I'm talking about. You were standing with a black-haired girl. Who is this? Does she work in your clinic?" "Ah, this is the girl. Yes, she works in our clinic. This is the doctor. What is her name? Why do you need her name?" Kirill asked, getting all grumpy. Vika looked at her husband carefully. He seemed suspicious. Strangely, he always reacts to her questions. He gets nervous. "What did I ask?" "She is very beautiful. I just wanted to know her name." Or you don't know your colleague's name, but she came to you for your birthday? Interesting, isn't it? Kirill started to get irritated. What kind of nonsense are you talking about? Of course I know her name. Her name is Albina Karimovna. And she didn't just come like that. I invited her. She was just a little late. Albina thoughtfully said a word, looking at the girl. How old is she? Is she so young? Kirill angrily answered. How do I know how old she is? I'm not interested at all. Probably about 23 to 25 years old. I don't know for sure. What's the difference? Is there anything else to talk about? You're shocking me, Vika. And Kirill left her. And Vika was watching Albina. I'm so young. I'm already a doctor. Isn't that strange? Her husband had to work for many years to achieve success and authority. And this Albina, at such a young age, works in a prestigious clinic. Who made her work there? Maybe she's someone's daughter? Albina talked to many, and everyone talked to her respectfully. Apparently, she really has an authority in this clinic. And she deserves it. Vika noticed something else. It was clear that Albina was looking for someone among the guests. And she was looking at her little watch, as if she was in a hurry. And then Vika understood the reason for this. An hour later, Kirill came up to her. It was already late. The guests were supposed to leave, but everyone seemed to be waiting for something. And Kirill said no. Dear, there is such a thing here. I didn't know about him at all. And nobody knew. He ordered a private party at the nightclub only for the company's employees. He bought everyone an entrance ticket. And now we're going to this party. It's a bit late, but I can't refuse. Unfortunately, I can't take you because you don't have a ticket. But you never liked nightclubs, right? You can lie down and rest, and the guests won't bother you. It's late. We're leaving now. The limo that Armin ordered will come for us. I understand that, boss. You should rest. You need to rest. You were so excited lately. Vika was surprised when her husband listened. She didn't believe her ears. A party? A nightclub? Everyone is going to rest? I thought we would spend the rest of the evening together. I haven't given you all the presents yet. I have one more. How about me? Well, darling, you should understand. I see you every day, and we rarely meet with the boss. I can't refuse the party. Armin will consider this a personal insult. You want me to have problems later? Aren't you happy with my situation? And you know that I must be grateful to Armin that he became the main link in my career. If I refuse the gifts of the bosses, I will quickly lose respect and trust. Such are the rules in the modern world. You don't understand anything about it. Why am I telling you everything? Indeed, why? You can just leave me and go with your colleagues, and I'll be waiting for you until morning, right? Are you going to do that? Vika burst into tears. But Kirill hugged her behind the waist and whispered quietly, Why? Are you so angry? I'm not going to sit there until morning. I'll stay an hour or two and go home. Don't worry, I won't stay there for long. I just need to celebrate and show that I appreciated such a gesture from Armin. And you lie down and rest. You have red eyes. You are tired. Kirill kissed his wife in the cheek, and then he left. After 10 minutes, there was no one in the house. After saying goodbye, everyone left. When everyone went out, Vika heard happy screams and whispers from the house. Apparently, everyone was happy at the party. Probably it will be more interesting there than at home. Why is this happening? Why is she more and more often somewhere in the backyards of her husband's life? Why is she always somewhere aside? After all, she is the wife of a prestigious surgeon. But Vika tried not to be discouraged. She still hoped for the best. Maybe for the best that Kirill had left. She will be able to prepare and how to meet him. She will put on new underwear, which she purchased in a fashionable women's store. Of course, the underwear was very provocative and unusual, and she is not used to wearing such things. But Tatiana assured that this is exactly what she needs. Vika, this is what the doctor prescribed. I'm sure Kirill will appreciate it. Any man would appreciate it. but you are our faithful wife. So please, husband, don't be shy. Do you think a man shouldn't be surprised? He should, and so on. So don't break, but take this set and end the discussion. Vika got the set. Yes, the clothes are very beautiful. She hoped that she wouldn't wear it in vain. She took a bath with aromatic foam, washed her head, breathed in, put on her clothes. According to her calculations, as Kirill promised, he should be back soon. Well, she will wait for him in the bedroom. She turned on the night watch, lay on the bed and began to wait. However, 30 minutes have passed, and he was gone. Another 30 minutes have passed. It was already about 3 o'clock in the night, and Vika fell asleep. She woke up at about 5 a.m. Kirill wasn't home. She started calling him, but the subscriber was unavailable. She called him for half an hour. There was no result. She began to worry. And then she thought that she didn't have a single phone, at least one from the clinic staff, to call in an emergency situation. What if something happened to him, and no one called her? What if he was in the hospital and she couldn't reach him? Or he was hit by a car and he was lying somewhere on the road? Oh my God, what a horror! We need to do something else now, otherwise she will go crazy. Vika threw her coat and was going to call the city hospital. And then she heard some noise in the hall. She went out and saw that Kirill had returned. Where have you been? Why didn't you call? Did something happen? I was all excited while waiting for you. Why didn't you answer the phone? Kirill raised his eyebrows and calmly said, Why are you screaming like that? I told you we were going to the club. Nothing else happened. I didn't answer the phone because the connection there was bad, and I thought you were sleeping. I didn't want to wake you up and disturb you. What's so scary about it that you're so nervous? Everything is fine. I'm back home. Vika got even more angry. But you said you wouldn't stay. I was waiting for you. I could have left the club and called me. I would have said that you would be late. You promised me that you would come soon. How could you do this to me? What are you doing? I stayed at work until the morning when there were special cases or urgent operations. What's wrong with that? Well, you were late. It's okay. When I'm late at work, you don't scream like that. I couldn't leave. We had some fun and then talked about our business at the clinic. It's very important for me. I couldn't just get up and leave. Stop being a psycho, Vika. What business can you talk about at a nightclub? Are you taking me for a fool? Kirill took off his shirt and hurriedly threw it on the chair. He smiled slightly and calmly said, Vika, you seem to be from another world. We had a VIP room rented in the nightclub. Our company was alone there. There was no one from the outsiders. We went out to the common hall if we wanted to dance. The rest of the time we sat in a special room where there was no noise and crowds. We talked there. What's so unusual about that? Calm down. You're too nervous. Maybe you should see a doctor? Maybe you have a climax? It's very serious. Then you need help. You don't have to joke about it. Vika looked at her husband and didn't know what to say. What climax? She's only 38 years old. She's still young. Why does he say things that hurt her so much? She didn't take her eyes off Kirill. He was calm. He doesn't sway like a drunk. He was completely adequate. Of course, she still has a bad mood, but she can't stop her nerves from healing. She starts from every little thing and already feels that she is on the verge of hysterics. Eternal suspicions drove her crazy, and she can't do it anymore. She needs to see a doctor. Let her take sedative pills, otherwise she will definitely destroy her family herself, and not the guilt of the proven betrayal of her husband, which she just suspects. After all, the men who cheat, they don't behave so calmly. They lie, turn around, think, get embarrassed and nervous. And Kirill is calm, smiling and looking at her. He even sings some melody, undressing. It can be seen that he just relaxed and spent time using it, and now he is happy. And she? She went crazy. She made herself. What a fool. She really needs qualified medical care. I was afraid for you, worried. By the way, I prepared a surprise for you. I put on new underwear, quietly said Vika, and embarrassed, untied the dress. But Kirill ran, looking at her, immediately looked her in the eye with regret. Wow, dear, it's so cute, but I'm so tired. Let's postpone it for later. You will show it to me somehow, but not now. This night has washed me out. I'm so tired that my eyes are closing. If I don't lie down in bed now, I'll fall asleep right here on the floor. So let's go to sleep. We'll talk tomorrow. And Kirill smelled her dress, smacked her cheek, and went to the bedroom. Vika stayed standing, looking after him. Then she sighed and looked around. How lonely she is in this house. How I want to be in someone's warm embrace. How I need to be someone's need. Why is she so bad? Why does she feel the approach of some kind of trouble? The constant anxiety drives her crazy. It's impossible to be in tension all the time. How much longer will she endure? Vika drank water, then put the glass on the table. In silence, a sharp knock was made, from which she was shaken. Vika came to the window. She smelled the cloth that didn't warm her, but it didn't help her. She didn't calm down and didn't warm up. She looked out the window. There was no one outside. Only occasionally a short dog barked somewhere. Vika sighed and went to sleep. She will drink the sleeping pills, lie down next to the sleeping husband. And tomorrow she will calm down and will smile again to her husband, hoping for his attention. She didn't know what she wanted, but she felt. Vika seemed to have sensed the day before that something was going to happen. When she got up in the morning, her husband was gone. Vika looked at the clock and grumbled. It was already noon. She never got up so late. Apparently, she was taking sleeping pills, and her head was buzzing from them, or from sleepless nights, or from all the experiences. Vika drank water from the glass on the bedside table, and wanted to lie down again, but then she saw that her phone screen was flashing. Someone was calling, but she didn't hear because the phone was in silent mode. Oh, let them call. She doesn't want to talk to anyone. She took the phone in her hand to turn it off completely, but then she saw something that quickly led her to a feeling. On the screen, 10 missed calls from Georgie, the detective she trusted to follow her husband, were displayed. And there were also 5 messages from him. Wow, he called her all morning, and she was sleeping without her hind legs. I think he had something important that he called so many times. Vika immediately dropped the rest of her sleep. Her head immediately stopped buzzing. She dialed the detective's number and called him back. He didn't answer for a long time, and Vika was nervous, with her hand wet with a sheet. And then George finally called. Back. I see that you are very much waiting for the news from me, Victoria. Good morning. Or rather, day. Vika smiled at herself and spoke with a nervous tone. Hello, Georgie. I'm sorry. I was busy. I was very busy. Couldn't answer. Actually, I forgot my phone at home. I just arrived. I saw your calls and messages and immediately called you back. Georgie laughed. His laugh was frightening. It was the laugh of a person who knows other people's secrets. Victoria, have you forgotten who you are talking to? Let me remind you, I am a detective and I know many things about different people, starting with ordinary people and ending with the most famous people in the city. I have been sitting in the car near your house since 7 a.m. I saw your husband leaving. I saw that you did not leave the house and did not just come in. This means that you were at home all this time. Well, or it could mean that you did not spend the night at home at all. But it's unlikely. Otherwise, I would have realized that you weren't there. And since he came out in a good mood, you were in your house. Vika was covered in goosebumps. She was shivering and sighing. Yes, you're right. I was sleeping. I drank a sleeping pill, put my phone on silent mode, and slept until noon. I just woke up and saw that you called me. I'm sorry for this senseless and stupid lie. Oh no, don't apologize. You shouldn't apologize to me. I just showed you that you can pierce any trifle in front of other people, only by lying to them. Be careful, or don't lie. Or lie only when you are sure that your lie will not be revealed? Vika looked at one point, listening to the detective. What a strange person. But his voice is charming. Vika felt calm, as if she had been to a hypnosis session. She exhaled slowly. Okay, let's end this. I think you understood me correctly, and you will apply to the future council of the scientist. And now let's talk about the present. I am ready to provide you with my report. I think I have collected enough information for you, and I would like you to get acquainted with it as soon as possible. I have a client who urgently needs my help. I have a deal with your business, and I want to get to the next one as soon as possible. I'll be waiting for you in the car in half an hour. I think you'll have enough time to take a shower, get yourself in order, and have some coffee. Great. I'll be waiting for you outside. Vika looked out the window. There were no cars nearby. A strange person. But Vika didn't get caught up in his strangeness. She was more concerned about the information that the detective had got for her. What's there? Ending or continuation of family life? Or a complete lie, and a detective will once again convince her of this. In any case, she will soon find out everything. And Vika quickly went to the shower. She went out in 20 minutes. Her head stopped buzzing after the shower when she drank a strong coffee. Vika looked around and saw a car nearby. The headlights flashed, and then the car touched the ground and drove up to Vika. The front door opened and Vika sat next to the driver. Hello, Victoria. You look great. Vika grumbled. Did you find out everything I asked for? I haven't had breakfast yet. Let's go to a place where I'll have a snack, and you'll look at my materials. And nobody will bother us. After 25 minutes, they were already sitting at the table in an unnoticed cafe, where students usually come to have a snack. They were placed in a corner where they were almost invisible. Georgie brought food for himself, and then he put a folder with documents in front of Vika. The woman sighed deeply before opening it. There were many papers written by hand with a flat handwriting. It's strange that the detective didn't use a computer, or he wrote everything himself to fill himself with value. And there were many photos of different qualities. Vika took one of them with trembling hands. Kirill was wearing a white medical suit for this photo. He was standing at the door of the clinic. Next to him was a girl with long black hair. Apparently they were talking. Kirill smiled and looked at his interlocutor. Vika put the photo aside and took the next picture. Here the girl was already turned around. She had huge black glasses. Vika didn't know who it was. Having taken the next picture, Vika saw Kirill in the restaurant. Kirill was alone, but his thoughtful look said that he was waiting for someone. Well, the next photo set everything in its place. The photo was taken there in the cafe only now. Kirill and the same dark-haired woman were sitting at the table. Vika saw the face of this girl. It was Albina, a clinic employee and a doctor. She was in an open dress that opened her artificial breast. Albina held a rose in her hands and gently smiled at Kirill. Vika looked up at the detective. He was indignantly swallowing his breakfast. This is a doctor from his husband's clinic. For some reason, she told him. The detective looked at her, ate, drank a sip of water and said, She doesn't work in the clinic. How does not work? She is. Kirill told me that. Your husband said that she works as a doctor in the clinic. I understand, but it's not true. Although she really has a relationship with the clinic. The detective looked closely at Vika and kept silent. The woman began to lose patience. And what kind of relationship does she have? Grigory quietly said, This is Albina Karamovna, the wife of the owner of the clinic, Armen Okapovich. There was silence. Vika looked at the pictures again. Armen's wife, that's how. Kirill hung noodles on her ears. He brought this girl to their house, not even afraid that Vika might find out something about their relationship. The detective sat down on the chair and continued talking. Albina, 23 years old. Your husband has been supporting her relationship for 2 years. Nobody knows about their relationship. These photos were taken in a restaurant in a Webzilla, where strangers are not allowed to enter. Do not ask me how I managed to get these photos. These are my business and my secrets. I had to do my job, and I did it. Where do I know they've been dating for 2 years? Don't ask. I won't tell you that either. But they've been lovers for a long time. It's a fact. My husband doesn't know about Albin's double life. You didn't know either. This couple often go to the same hotel together, where they keep their secrets. Armin Okapovich often travels to different cities and countries. When he is absent, your husband often comes to Albin's house. I found such a moment. There is a photo, look. Your husband, of course, disguised himself, but I know that it is him. And you will recognize him, I am sure. She got the following photo. A taxi stopped in front of the big mansion, and next to the car was a man in sunglasses. It was Kirill, right? I took this picture before your husband's birthday. Look at the next photo. Here your husband is carrying a dress from a fashion store in a case. He came to his lover to give her a dress. She was in your house in this dress. And the next picture is from yesterday, on Saturday. The whole company of friends who were with you at the holiday. Tell me, what did your husband tell you yesterday when he left with everyone, and you stayed at home? Vika barely heard her whispering while looking at the picture. He said that Armin had a surprise for him, that they are going to the nightclub to have some fun and talk to their colleagues, and that they are only allowed to go there by invitation, and they wouldn't let me go there. The detective was shocked, although his facial expression was sympathetic. Your husband was around your finger, and you didn't notice that. They really went to the nightclub together, but your husband organized the party, not Armin Okapovich. You didn't have to go there by invitation. The entrance is free. And Kirill Petrovich stayed there for a short time. In half an hour, he and Albina went to the hotel where they stayed almost until morning. Victoria, your husband stayed with his mistress all night. As soon as he left the hotel, I immediately printed out the photos and came to your house. Vika was crushed. Such betrayal from a person she had lived with for so long. She was not ready for this. She struggled so that her tears would not fall on her cheeks, but it did not help. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I need to step back. She said. She got up and sat down. She did not know how to find the toilet, but she did it. She cried so hard, but immediately stopped herself. What is she doing? She was deceived, betrayed, trampled, destroyed, and she is crying. She needs to take herself in her hands. She needs to decide what to do next. And then she thought about Rome, how he looked at her when they accidentally met. This look said a lot. Kirill had not had such a look for Vika for a long time, but in the pictures she recognized this look. Only now Kirill looked at another woman. Vika looked at herself in the mirror. She couldn't do anything else. Her marriage ended today. It ended the moment she saw the pictures of Kirill and his mistress. Vika washed herself, then carefully wiped her face with a towel that she took out of her handbag. After a deep breath, she put on sunglasses and then left the toilet. She returned to the table. The detective was grumpy when he saw the sunglasses on Vika, but did not tell her anything. He liked it better when people without glasses, so he could watch their reactions. People love drama. His clients play out whole performances when they learn about betrayal or deception. And Vika was different. She started to hide her emotions and hide in the toilet. All the papers in the folder with various data about the meetings. Also, there is all the information about Albina. And you haven't seen the photos from the hotel that were taken at night. They turned out to be very interesting. I said, Detective. Vika interrupted him. I understood everything. Thank you for your service. I am very pleased with your work. How much do you owe me? I have a little money with me, but I can transfer the necessary amount to you on the map. Vika said in an even tone. The detective looked down. I am also pleased with my work. I have never been able to get all the necessary information so quickly. And you owe me nothing. I did it for you just like that. Don't ask me why. It exists, but I won't tell you about it. I'm sorry. All I've learned and obtained is in this folder. I gave it to you. I hope we won't meet again. My services are very expensive, but I wouldn't want to take money from you. So I hope you won't need my services. No, I won't need anything else. I'm leaving soon. I'm leaving forever. The detective raised one eyebrow. This woman continued to surprise him. It was clear from the first meeting that she hoped that her suspicions would not be justified. But she quickly put up with the circumstances. She will rebuild her life. Well, that's great. Thank you. You have helped me a lot. I will not refuse you to give up on money. I see that your decision is final. Good luck to you. Goodbye, Vika said. She collected all the papers and photos in a folder, then got up and left. The detective watched her with a thoughtful look. Vika called a taxi. While she was waiting for the car, she was thinking about what she was going to do next. She was going to take revenge on the man she loved, trusted, and gave her the best years of her life. This decision came suddenly when she looked at herself in the mirror in the toilet. She deserved happiness, not all of that. No one can control her life except herself. When Vika came home, Kirill met her. Where have you been? I was on business, so what? Kirill patted me on the shoulder. Nothing. I'll go to work in the office, and then I'll have to go on business. I'll be back late. And Kirill sat at the computer. Vika had already figured out what revenge would be. When her husband goes on business, she will make her own plan into action. She sat in the bedroom, took out the folder that the detective gave her. She looked through the photos she had not seen. They were from the hotel. She had not been looking at them for a long time because she was disgusted. She hurriedly put them in the folder, and then she saw a small flash drive. She put it in her personal laptop. The flash drive contains all the photos that the detective gave her. Well, it makes her job easier. A couple of hours later, Kirill left. Before that, he took a shower, got a little suffocated. Vika realized that he was going to Albina. Now she noticed everything. After his departure, Vika went to his office. She opened his email. Aha, here it is. And found this folder. Here are the addresses of the email of all the clinic employees, and most importantly, the address of Armen Okapovich. Well, it's time to start having fun. Let's see how you like it, Kirill Petrovich, Vika said in silence. And Vika uploaded all the photos of Albina and Kirill and sent them to all the clinic employees. But then she thought it was not enough, and she sent these photos to all of Kirill's contacts. That's all. Deal is done. Kirill arrived 3 hours later. It was already late evening. He didn't tell his wife anything. It was clear that nobody had called him yet. But it means that everything will be known tomorrow. The husband went asleep, and Vika sat in the kitchen for a long time. She put the chair near the window. The woman drank coffee, looked out the window, and thought about her life. In the morning, Kirill went to work, and in half an hour he called Vika. Vika, I have big problems. He yelled when she answered his call. What do you mean, Misha? Vika calmly asked. You can't even imagine what happened. Kirill, what's the matter? Explain to me. Kirill screamed into the phone. I was set up. Everyone, oh my God, everyone got some weird photos taken in Photoshop. Someone broke my mail and sent provocative photos to all the employees in the clinic. And not only to the employees. Oh my God, it's a nightmare. What's going on here? Kirill said something else, but Vika didn't listen to him. And then she quietly said, I did it. What? What did you say? I don't understand. Vika said louder. It was me, Kirill, who did it. I sent these photos. And you know they're not fake, right? I know the whole truth, Kirill. And now you will pay for everything you did. In a moment, Kirill shouted at Vika. What have you done, fool? Where did you get these pictures? What kind of creature cursed me? You understand that all this is not true. What are you talking about? It's not true. You're lying, aren't you? You're lying like Albina, the clinic's doctor. I know who she is. Armina's wife. I have only 2 questions for you. How could you bring a lover to our house? And why didn't you just divorce me if you didn't need me anymore? If we just broke up, there would be nothing of this. But you've been lying to me for several years. You slept with this young girl, and I waited for you every day at home. You laughed at me, said offensive words. You were ready to carry me on your arms once. Why didn't you just talk to me when everything changed? We would have split on mutual agreement, and you just trampled my trust. You're a scoundrel, Kirill Petrovich, and I don't regret at all that you did it. Let everyone know who you really are. And most importantly, let Armen Kopovich know about it. I think he will do what you want. Evika threw the phone. Kirill heard the sounds and threw his phone against the wall. He flew apart into several pieces around the office. Kirill again screamed like an injured beast and spat on his chair. He closed his eyes and let his head down on the table, covering it with his hands. He came to work today in a good mood. However, everyone met him unfriendly. Many colleagues whispered behind his back. Several people didn't even say hello. And his assistant looked at him with fear. What happened today, Naira? Did I miss something interesting? Everyone behaves so strangely, Kirill asked happily when he walked into his office. But the assistant was not as cheerful as before. She was confused and murmured, "Oh, Kirill Petrovich, I can't. I don't know what to tell you. And I generally prefer not to participate in all kinds of gossip. I'll go. Call me if you need something." And she jumped out of the office like a sprained leg. Kirill shook his shoulders. What's wrong with everyone today? But half an hour later, Armen Okapovich came to his office. Kirill smiled with a smile when he saw the boss. He stretched his hand to greet him, but instead of shaking his hand, he got a blow to the face. And then Armen told him everything he thought about him. And Kirill realized that the boss somehow found out about them with Albina. But that was not all. Finally, the boss said, "You no longer work here. You were fired. I made a debt to my friend, took you to work, provided for the patients, gave a great salary. And you bastard, spat in my face, taking what belongs to me. You humiliated me. Nobody dares to touch my wife. And you dared to touch her. Now you are nobody here. You will not be able to settle anywhere. I will ruin your reputation so that no one will want to work with you. I have great authority. I will make sure that you will never be able to work in any other city again. They won't even take you as a nurse. You hear? You signed a death sentence. I don't know who made a joke about you by sending these photos to everyone from your email, but I'm glad that this person found himself. Now everyone will know that you are the last scum. Pack your things and get out of here, so that you won't be here in an hour." And Armen left, knocking on the door so that the Cyrillic certificate broke off the wall. Cyril immediately opened his laptop, looked at the mail. God, in the messages sent, there were a bunch of messages to all his contacts. Cyril pressed the tone and opened one of the messages. And there he saw the photos of him and Albina. What a horror. Someone did this scum and broke his life. And this one turned out to be his own wife. It's a complete failure. It's a fiasco, bro, said Kirill. While he was packing, no one came into his office. The operation scheduled for this day will probably be done by someone else. Most likely, his rival. Well, great career completion. When he left the clinic, no one looked in his direction. Goodbye. No one supported him with even a goodbye shake. Everyone smiled at him when he was a successful surgeon, and everyone turned away when he turned out to be dirty in the mud. But Vika was packing her things. She quickly coped with it. Calling a cab, she last saw her house, in which she was both happy and unhappy. She will never step over the threshold of this house again. This is no longer their family nest, it's just a house. An ordinary house in which, maybe, another family will soon live. Maybe they will be happier here than Vika and Kirill. Vika went to the hotel. Having taken off her number, she immediately called Tanya, telling her everything. Tanya quickly realized that Vika needed help, but Vika only asked for the lawyer's number. "I will divorce Tanya, and I will start a new life. Don't worry, Everything is fine with me. It's even better now than it was. So don't worry, I just need to solve a couple of questions, and then I'll tell you everything in order. Vika called the lawyer. She solved several divorce issues. Tomorrow she will go to court with him. She will write a letter of confidence. She will do everything to make the divorce without her presence in court. Everything can be done with money. And thank God she has enough money. She had a personal brush, which Kirill regularly put in large sums. And Vika never spent almost anything. There was a good amount of money. At first she had enough. And then she will have a different life. She will take care of it. She took the phone again and called someone. Nobody answered her. She called another number. No answer either. Vika sighed and dialed the last number. Hello, Roma. It's me. Did you recognize me? Of course I recognized you. Roma. I'm calling to say, Roma, I'm going to divorce. I'm leaving my husband. He betrayed me. I can't stay in this city anymore. Tell me what you said in your power. Then I agree, Roma. I want to see you as soon as possible. How stupid I was, Roma. Forgive me. Kirill was standing by the window in his house. He had not left the house for a week. His home phone was broken by calls. In the end, he broke the phone. Now the house was quiet. His new cell phone was on silent mode. There were also hundreds of missed calls and messages, but Kirill answered only to a few. Through the message, he learned that Vika had filed for divorce. Albina called him only once. The next day after what happened, she screamed into the phone, Armin kicked me out of the house, Kirill. Can you imagine? He kicked me out with a shame. He took all the jewelry. He took everything. I'm penniless in my pocket. My girlfriend made me feel better. I'm shocked. How could this happen? Who was watching us? Did Armin suspect us of something? This is my wife. Somehow she found out everything about us. Your wife? Are you kidding me? You're a bitch. She ruined my life. God, what should I do now? I have nothing. How am I going to live? What a shame. What a horror. Kirill tried to calm the lover. Calm down, Albinaka. Don't worry, everything will be fine. Come to me. The wife left, filed for divorce. You can live with me now. To you? To live with you? You're in your mind. Who are you? A doctor who can't even work anymore? You're nobody without Armin. Empty place. You here? You're nothing. You've ruined everything. You and your disgusting wife. And your children both. I don't want to hear anything about you anymore. You don't exist for me anymore. I won't even say goodbye. Get out of my life. I hung up. Kirill carefully put his phone on the table. He had just bought it. He can't be broken. Now he needs to think that he has no more income. And what to do next? Where to go? He didn't know. He closed his eyes and got tired of the insult and the helplessness. A month passed. Vika was at the airport. She had just arrived. She didn't believe she was in Paris. She had never been to Europe, and here, in Paris, oh my God. She was afraid to move from the place. Vika looked around and suddenly saw someone ahead. She smiled, but could not move from the place. Hello, madam. I'm very glad to see you. I've been waiting for this moment probably my whole life. Let me show you Paris. Vika hugged him tightly around the neck and closed her eyes. I've never been anywhere. I've never been to France. Why does it seem to me as if I came home? Roma hugged her and whispered to her. You've never been anywhere? Then my love is. I will gladly show you the whole world. We have a lifetime ahead. Vika still firmly clasped the shoulders of a man who once took a place in her heart and never left there. Yes, that's right. She has no doubt about it.